China Uber Alice is brought to you in part by Sushi Market Sprouts on 7th in Santa Cruz and Kaito, coming soon to the Capitola Mall food court. Treat yourself to the finest Japanese cuisine you'll find anywhere with fresh sushi to go and delicious ramen dinners. Sushi Market Sprouts and Kaito. Yum! Good afternoon. I'm Bill Graff. Welcome to China Uber Alice. I'm here with my co-host Nan Su, a senior reporter from the Epoch Times, and Amy Howe, a survivor of the re-education camps of the Chinese Cultural Revolution under Chairman Mao. Nan, we have a great show today, don't we?
Yes, we're going to talk about a lot of things. First of all, the People's Congress in China, that's the rubber stamp organization for China's CCP, Chinese Communist Party, has been in session in the past week and talking about the Great Rejuvenation of China, say, of course, by Chairman Xi. And while China is talking about, Xi Jinping is talking about the rejuvenation of China. And guess what? This past Tuesday, U.S. top Admiral who is commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, Philip Davidson, talked to U.S. Senate Armed Service Committee. And you know what he said? He said it's very much likely China is going to invade Taiwan in the next 6 years. So that's the situation facing the U.S.-China relationship. We're going to talk about all that. And, of course, we have honorable guest today. If you listen to our program in the past, he is a retired Army Major General, General Paul Vallely. Hey, Bill, I thought you put Paul Vallely, the bio, on the web. Would you introduce his...
Sure. Him? Well, General Vallely is a retired U.S. Major General. He's a senior military analyst for Fox News. He also served in the Vietnam War. He retired in 1993 as Deputy Commanding General of the Pacific Command. In the year 2004, together with another retired Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney, Vallely co-authored a book called Endgame, the Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. So we'll be talking with him later on in the program. But first, as always, we get to check in with Amy, right?
Yes, Amy Howe is one of our our hosts of this show, and he spent more than a decade of time in the re-education camp in China because of the Cultural Revolution under Chairman Mao. So, Amy, what is the story you're going to bring to us today?
Yes, today I want to talk about we went to the camp, that the re-education camp. We have about 35 people in the one household, and somehow, so 35 people, we have about 3 people with end up in the mental hospital. And I want to talk about one of them, how he become a mentally ill. And so it's a very sad story. This guy, his nickname is, we call him a missile, because he's very smart. And he want to be an Einstein. He always want to be it. He's excellent in the science, mathematics, physics, chemistry, everything on the top. And he's a very smart guy. And also work very hard. So he's the first one told us, he said that, we've been pulled out the closer school, but we still should study and to pursue your original dream. Like somebody want to be an engineer, somebody want to be a scientist, somebody want to be a doctor. He said that we still, doesn't matter right now, we are end up digging the dirt and working the farm, but eventually we will have a chance to go back to school and to pursue our original dream. He's the first one to talk about that. So we will respect him and inspired, how that he keep and study and the science in such a remote area, and also the very horrible, harsh labor. And actually he did something, use his knowledge and work in they wanted to make a dam in the upstream, the river we have. And so he was helping them and to calculate the things, everything, it was amazing. And so we always ask him, I said, Miso, so what are we going to do? I said, especially we are the junior high school, just first year they shut down. So we don't know anything. We only learned 1 year in the high school, mathematics and physics, and basically it's no chemistry. And second year will start. So we don't know anything about it. So how do we can go back to school? He said, well, you have to get this textbook. In my case, during the Cultural Revolution, and they burned everything, my brothers, the textbook, everything. So they have nothing. But I remember I was, that time I was joining the school's volleyball team. So I'm the youngest one in the team. So those bigger sisters, they are, I'm a class 68. So 68 is supposed to graduate from the junior high. So they have a class 66 to 67. So they all have a book. So I started writing to them, asking them to send me their textbook so I can study. So the whole village, this whole household, we all started, that become our extra work, after work. So we all try to discipline ourselves. I decided that, we started working probably when sunrise, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So I had to get up every day about 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock and start to study. And I think one time I almost burned down my mosquito net because we don't have electricity or anything. We use a candle, so it's always burned down everything because but we never give up. So I started studying. But if any question I ask this guy, like mathematics also, he's very good. He would teach me. But the only thing, we don't have any lab. Let's say the chemistry, how do we can do? We have no lab and nothing, right? So that is still not learn much about it. So what's happened is 1973. So they started to say, they're going to reopen the school. And so we have a chance and to go to a college. I said, what college? You didn't even go to high school. Only 1 year. How can I go to college? It doesn't matter because time has passed by. You cannot go back to the high school. You had to go to college. And through the examination, they will accept you. So you self-study, right? So at least finally we see some sunlight. We have a chance to go to the college, so we had to study hard. Doesn't matter what it takes, right? So we study harder and then prepare all the things. But it's very difficult for, the missile. They are 68 class for senior high. So at least they're 3 years. They learn more, three more years than us in the school. So they know much better. They only need to study 2 years, the course, and to take examination. But we need 5 years, of course. And I don't even think we're able to do it. But anyway, that's an opportunity we cannot miss. So we had to do everything, do our best to try. So finally, that day is coming. And first you had to be recommended by the peasants in the village. And they had to say you are re-educated, reform well, and you work hard, and you qualify to take examination. So that's the first thing. But it's limited, the numbers. So that's especially to people have a bad family background. I think I talk about a lot about they have a social class and divided, and your social status based on your parents' occupation. If your parents is a business owner, no, immediately a class enemy. And so those class enemies children, and they only have about 1% of it, and able to have an opportunity to take an examination. And so let's say we have 1,100, so that means probably handful of they will give us to take an examination. So our household is they make as a model, so they make exemptions, give us more quarters and to go to examination. And so this guy, Miso, and me, and a couple of people, and they all let us to go. So unfortunately, on that examination, big day for us, and in the middle of the examination, and it had an earthquake. And we all sitting in the big storage room, and they put some tables. So we take the examination, and all of a sudden started shaking. So everybody just immediately evacuated from the building. And I didn't want to go because I don't think I have time to finish. I wanted to finish. Finally, I studied so hard. I do my best, and I don't want to give up this opportunity. So they say, you don't want to live. I say, I don't care. If I die, I still have to finish. So I did finish. I think the result was pretty good, too. I was very proud of myself. But the Shanghai Science and Technology University accepted me. And then the second procedure is they had to find out, investigated your background, which was everybody, we all have in China, in the communist CCP control, everybody have a big file. And the file, because I'm just a young girl, I didn't do anything, right? And the file is my father, and what he did before the Mao took over, what kind of friend they have, what kind of business partner they have. And he have a lot of people, they all escaped to Taiwan and Hong Kong and Japan, and some was America or something. So he had to write it down, everything, every person he associated with in his life, and not just your relative, your business partner, your friend, everybody. So those all go to my file. So they look at the file, they say I'm not qualified because I have so many people in my father's background. They are overseas, and that means cannot be trusted, in Western world or free world. So that's opposite of the communist country. So they didn't accept me. They also didn't accept the Miso, because the Miso's somehow he didn't have that much overseas relationship, but his father, I think the father is an engineer. But they found out that his father's father is a landlord, owned some land before, because they all passed away, the father, the grandpa is long gone, but they found out that, and so they didn't accept him. And then another 3 people in my household, they didn't be accepted. And so that was a bigger hit. Not me, and big hit for these 5 people because we've been, they just erased us. We abandoned us, so you cannot never have a chance to go. And so that was pretty close to Chinese New Year. And the rest of the people, and some of they participate, some of they didn't, and but they all go back to Shanghai on that Chinese left. I'm the only one there. This missile, he was working on the dam, so he was about 20 miles away from the village, so he was lived there. And so on the Chinese New Year's Eve, all by myself, and I look at I have nothing to eat because we ate lots of pumpkin, you know, but on that day, we don't even have any pumpkin. So only some pumpkin leaves. So I get a couple of pumpkin leaves and to make a soup. So I was kind of sad because it's a Chinese New Year and I don't even have anything to eat. But I don't want to go back to Shanghai because I think I failed, you know, and I make my parents disappointed because I say that I did do my best to get to the college to give them the good news, but I failed. I cannot deliver that, so I don't want to go back. And then when I'm cooking, all of a sudden the door opened, and the missile come in with a chicken. And he said, I said, you know, Chinese New Year's Eve today. He said, let's celebrate. Oh, I was so surprised. I said, how do you know I'm alone here? He said, the village, they just come in and to the den. They told me, and you were alone. Everybody left. So I think maybe I should come in, and we have it. I got a chicken. So I'm going to cook Western food. I said, really, what Western food? They said, you remember in our neighborhood have a restaurant called the Red House. It's a German restaurant. And I said, yes, I remember that. I had to be very good. I had to be the number one in the class. So my father took me once, and also my 10 years birthday, we will celebrate there. Only twice in my life in that Red House. He said that you remember they have a good dishes, a roast chicken. I said, no, it's a roast duck. It's a duck with a red cabbage, a German food, actually Hungary style. And he said, yeah, but I don't have a duck, so we're going to eat a chicken. I said, how did you make it? He said, we can roast it. We can barbecue it, make a fire. And I said, what about the gravy? The important thing is the gravy. He said, oh, that's going to be tough. So, but we still can, looking for maybe some corn and make a cornstarch, make the powder and cornstarch. And maybe we have some, those, soy sauce. Because in Shanghai, the parents send us some soy sauce. It's not a liquid, you know. It's like the 1 cube. So he said we can use that and then make a gravy. I said, well, that's a great idea. So anyway, we had the roast chicken, and really, and I think it's the best chicken I ever had because I was so hungry. Also Chinese New Year, I still remember that. And so that after the dinner, he started talking, and he's talking about. He said, "I was thinking." He said, 5 of us, we should get together and suicide together." I said, "What? Why you want to suicide together?" He said, "We'll make a scene." He said, "This is so unjust." He said, "You know, if we suicide together." So we can, you know, maybe call the attention. And so maybe for other people, they will let them go, you know, like have a same bad family background. I said, no, don't do that. I said that because you suicide only make the people love you sad, and not the people hate you or they don't care about you. They don't care about anyway. He said, how do you know that? I say, yes, I did. Because I have a godmother, and she was such a wonderful woman. She's helping everybody, such a good Christian. And then they wanted to have a criticized meeting on her, so she couldn't bear it. So before the meeting, she committed suicide. And so people think, oh, wow, you know, maybe next day will be the bigger hit. Everybody going to mourn her or anything. Well, you know what happened? Next day, and kids still play, And then the neighbors still fighting for where to hang their clothes because they're all fighting for the space to hang the clothes dry. Even we don't have a dryer, so it's hanged out by the sun, right? And everything just like before, like that person never exists, But the only people, her family, and I was already left, so my parents told me about her, and other people really mourning her in the heart because they don't even want to express, And I think I had to continue the story for next time. It's quite a long. Our time is up, all right?
Well, you have already laid out quite a. Once again, you have done a great job of wanting me to hear more. So I look forward to next week.
It's a long story. Yeah. So next week I continue.
Unfortunately, in China, what happens if you want to advance your career, receive higher education, whatever they do, the Communist Party will check your family background, check your father, your grandparents, your mother, your everyone. If they are they feel they politically they don't trust them. They are the class enemy, whatever. They're not going to give you the opportunity that you need to advance your career.
Indeed.
Your education.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good
so
that's a good lesson for the first lesson we learned from Amy's story this week is how communist China operated back in the day and still does. If you want to advance your career, you have to toe the line and not get out. Make a name for yourself or anything like that, because that's not frowned upon. All right, so we do have the guest, our esteemed guest today, General Paul E. Vallely, is a retired U.S. Army Major General. He's a senior military analyst for Fox News. He served in the Vietnam War. He did retire in 1993 as Deputy Commanding General of the Pacific Command. Then in 2004, together with a retired Air Force Lieutenant General you may have heard of, Thomas McInerney, Vallely co-authored the book Endgame, The Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror. General Vallely currently serves as the Military Committee Chairman for the Center for Security Policy and has lent his support to the organization Veteran Defenders of America. We welcome to our program today General Paul Vallely. Hi, Paul.
Well, hi there. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Paul. First of all, we have, this is Nan. We have three hosts for today's program. We the one just introduced you, who is Billy, and then the one just gave the personal story. It's Amy Howe. Hey, Amy and Billy, would you just greet General Vallely?
Hi, General. So good to invite you back again.
Thank you.
And General, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. Obviously, you have such a great background, and this is such a huge topic. We look forward to your insights. Nan, you want to ask the first question?
Oh, yes. We just, this past week, China have its People's Congress, the rubber stamp organization for Chinese communist regime in China. And it's in section discussing about China's rejuvenation, while the U.S. Top Admiral Philip Davidson, commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, told the U.S. Senate Armed Service Committee that it's very much likely China is going to invade Taiwan in the coming 6 years. Such a short time. General, how likely, in your mind, how likely it's going to happen within 6 years that China going to invade Taiwan?
Well, China's been threatening Taiwan for over 50 years or more when you look back. The threat has always been there. and there's been up and downs depending on the frequency of incursions into Taiwanese airspace or Chinese waters. They had the couple decades ago, the artillery going into the Quemoy Islands, but I think now that there's a far greater chance that Taiwan will be attacked by China. It could be any day. You have to realize Taiwan has a very, very strong and good and well-led armed forces. They have a good Navy. They have a good Army, Air Force, certainly not of the strength and the size that the People's Liberation Army has under control of the Chinese Communist Party. So it's an ongoing threat. We saw what the CCP did in Hong Kong, and we know the next domino to fall would, in fact, be Taiwan.
General, let me ask you this. China is obvious to people who follow, the way the Chinese government operates, that they are building up their military. They are working on aircraft carriers and newer types of missiles. And of course, we always worry about the threat of nuclear, nuclear weapons. Are they as aggressive in building their military as we think they are?
Oh yes, they have been, particularly the last 5 years. That they have had long-range plans for their aircraft carriers, for bombers, for fighters, their missile, launching potential satellites into space that would be armed with nuclear weapons. The Russians are doing the same thing, and of course we are. But the Russians and the Chinese have made great gains in the last 5 years. And of course, under President Obama, our military, our readiness went way down, morale went way down. The amount of arms that we had that were being advanced, many of those programs were stopped under Obama. And under President Trump, he restored the confidence in the military, the readiness in the military, the equipment, the budget, and so on. But now we see a Biden in there doing the same thing that Obama did. He's purging the ranks, and we'll see, in my opinion, the readiness drop tremendously this year in the U.S. military.
Wow. General, I have a question. What do you think Biden's administration coming to the Taiwan issues? So a couple of weeks ago, I think we have General Robert Spalding here. He said that Biden administration probably will just if China attacking Taiwan, and the American only can help in the evacuation. Is that true?
Well, we don't know until something would happen. But certainly Biden and his administration, they've been compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. His son Biden is compromised because of all of the dealings that they've had. You look at our high-tech industry, many of the advanced things in technology have been stolen again by the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA. But that's just the way it is right now. But you got to understand, Taiwanese has a very superb armed forces. So do the Japanese. So do the South Koreans. And they're very much aligned with the United States. So if the Chinese would take action against Taiwan, they would find a formidable force of air power, naval power, missile power, and nuclear weapons that would be targeted on mainland China. So I don't think the Chinese Communists are going to be that foolish to try to move towards the Taiwan in the near future anyhow, but they could. You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
General, do you think our administration, the Biden administration, is determined to protect Taiwan if the attack happens, say in the coming, say in the 4 years within the Biden administration?
Well, the poor guy is suffering from some mental incapacity right now, probably has dementia to some degree. He can't even complete a sentence or a press briefing. He's all over the place. He's not mentally capable. So it would fall to the Defense Department, State Department, to determine what kind of action would be taken in case there was a mounting threat from China on Taiwan. I certainly wouldn't trust Biden to make any good decisions, sharp decisions. I would hope our generals and admirals would be up to it and that they would stand by Taiwan. But who knows with this administration? They're going so far to the left and being influenced, by the way, by the Chinese Communist Party a lot. We've written over 22 articles at the Stand Up America U.S. Foundation on the Chinese Communist Party. Their deception, their propaganda, their infiltration into industries, into many countries, the Silk Road Initiative. The Chinese have been very smart. And their propaganda campaign, and I still think it was intentional, biological attack with the COVID-19 upon the United States and the rest of the world. I think that was intentionally an offensive bio operation against the United States and other countries. I firmly believe the Chinese were behind that and committed to it.
General Vallely, I realize you've been retired for a while now, and you have the great opportunity to look back and see the news every day and see all that. What is your assessment of the situation that might take place should the Joint Chiefs of Staff have to make some kind of a recommendation to our government? How do you think the current Joint Chiefs of Staff feel about the Taiwan situation?
Well, I'm not sure. I really, my confidence in the senior admirals and generals, our 4-stars, they become so politicized that it really scares me as to what they would do. They're more focused on social engineering now, where the Secretary of Defense, has told the military to stand down for 60 days to be able to basically rid the forces of right-wing extremists and so on. And Biden did the same thing. Obama did the same thing when some 120 senior officers were purged out of the system. It's very controversial. I think for sure the military should have advised President Trump better and should have conducted and induced the Insurrectionist Act as well as martial law. And when we had evidence of attacks from cyber attacks into our elections from the Chinese and other countries, but now we're moving more and more to the left, more towards communism in this country. That's what scares me more than that. That's the biggest threat to America, in my opinion. But otherwise, you should think of the cartels in Mexico. They are working hand in hand now with the Chinese Communist Party. The cartels are responsible for more deaths in America than all the troops that we've lost in the Middle East over the last 20 years.
Wow, that's comforting scenario, isn't it?
Yeah. So General, your military background. So what's your opinion? You think the Chinese, the military force, they're really really advanced, like a Navy or something?
Yes, they're very advanced, and as I said, they put billions of dollars into advancing modern technologies in their forces, in the Navy and their fighters. Their aircraft carriers are very good. They're shaped differently than ours, if you look at the pictures. But they're certainly moving ahead in their cyber capability, basically to attack computers. They would attack the United States computer system, which our Defense Department and our forces are very much dependent upon. Our ships, our aircraft, our missiles, and so on. So they're advancing. We seem to be weakening again now under Biden, and China seems to be getting stronger each day. That's the dilemma.
Yeah, that's horrible. But you think right now at this point, at this time, United States Air Force or the military force is still far stronger, powerful than Chinese? I always think we do.
Well, no, that's a great question. But see, you never know who is superior until you actually go to war.
Yeah.
Now, China can say we're superior in our army, we're superior in our missile rocket forces. North Korea could say the same thing. The United States could say the same thing. But you never know till you actually go to war who is the superior. It all comes back to not equipment necessarily. It comes back to leadership.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you an important question here, because we all know how. Look, anybody who knows anybody who's been in the military realizes that our military is some of the best trained personnel on the planet Earth. By the time you get out of boot camp, you figured out chain of command, you figured out, when and how to do certain things. How is the Chinese military trained? Are they trained as well as we are? Do they follow a chain of command? Do they know exactly what to do if their commander goes down in battle? I mean, I'm fascinated by this whole idea that the Chinese Communist Party would be able to train an army as good as ours or as good as a Western military we're familiar with.
Well, they really command through fear, and that's generated from the halls of the Chinese Communist Party, and the Chinese military forces are completely purged. They get 100% commitment to the party, and people have to understand that. Now, that does influence their operational capability in their command and control, their command structure, because if they start making political decisions within the military rather than military strategic decisions, they're going to be in deep trouble. And if you see what happened in Germany, the same thing where they politicized so much. And you actually have political appointed officers in the Chinese chain of command, just as the Russians did, and probably still are very much. You had an assigned political officer. I can remember in Vietnam, the same thing. They had assigned political officers down to the company and battalion level in the North Vietnamese army. And part of their training is the politics and policy of the Communist Party. And that's what we'd like to get away from in our military. Quit politicizing everything. Let's focus on readiness and leadership and the ability to protect the American people.
Now, General, let me ask you this question. If we are going to see China attack Taiwan in the, say, next few years, shouldn't we start doing some preparations right now to actually prevent these kind of things to happen?
Well, no, we have. We've been on guard listen for decades. We have, if you look at the lineup throughout the Pacific, we have 2 aircraft carrier groups over there. One of our aircraft carrier groups has more firepower, conventional and non-conventional, than 80% of the countries of the world. We have a Marine division over there. We've got 26,000 troops in South Korea, commanded over there by a 4-star general. Then you have a 4-star admiral in charge of the Pacific Command out of Hawaii. So those forces are very tied in to almost 14 allies we have out in the Pacific, to include New Zealand, to include Australia. We're not sure about the Philippines anymore. We have the Japanese. We have...
How about India?
The South. Well, we're not sure about India, but India they're at odds with China, no doubt about it. They've had a few skirmishes in the last year. And the Indians would join the United States. Absolutely, I think they would. So we're ready. We're watching them. We just have to make sure that our readiness is up where it is, and that's what sort of has me at odds with the leadership at the Pentagon of spending too much time with social engineering rather than the focus on the complete readiness of our forces.
So, General,
Amy, go ahead.
I have a stupid question. General, you think the people, the army, the soldiers, if they are being brainwashed, those brainwash the war machine is more powerful, or the soldier is intelligent, individualist, independent, and it's better for us. Compare.
Well,
yeah.
Well, no, I was just going to say it goes back to this what we call social engineering, and this critical theory thinking you have, as well as politically correct all the time, freedom of speech. Those things are being attacked in the military as we speak, just as we see it's happening throughout America. A lot of our soldiers, they've been told to keep their mouth shut, not to talk, not to discuss anything, to follow the line. So we have the political propaganda coming down from our own Pentagon down through the ranks with this critical theory, all that. So that's happening. That's what I'm afraid of. At the same time, the cartels get stronger in Mexico. The Chinese Communist Party continue to extend their influence in Canada on our northern border. So that's what's happening. The South, the North, the Far East, and that's why it's a major challenge for us to be as strong as we can now. But we're not going to see that strength through Biden as we did through President Trump.
Wow.
Now, talking about the preparation, now, General, you mentioned that a lot of our corporate interests are still focused in China or technology. It's, through our corporations' interests going to China. And a lot of our technology actually still made in China.
Yes.
Do you think that kind of relationship, especially the high-tech corporations with China, it's actually going to help us to prepare to facing the threat from the Chinese Communist regime or not?
Well, that's a tough question to answer at this point in time. All I know is I think we're compromised at the highest levels in our high-tech industries, Wall Street, by the Chinese Communist Party, and they're going to continue to do that. They're going to continue to push forward deception, massive propaganda into our communications, even into our networks in the United States, our news networks. So they're going to continue to move on and do that. But I'm not sure the administration that we have now would be strong enough to fight that and to turn that back rather than encouraging what President Trump did and really unveiling what the Chinese Communist Party has done, not only in the United States, but across the world. So that's our major battle, I see. The biggest external threats we have right now are China and the cartels, and then Iran would fall after that. And then we have the domestic threat, Socialist Democratic Party moving the country to the left, taking advantage of our elections with fraudulent election procedures. I'll just call it that at this time. I think you know what I'm talking about.
General, what about the threat of, what about the economic threat? China is going to export to the United States 87% more products as the latest
last 2 months.
Yeah, the last 2 months. I read this in NBC News. China has apparently ramped up their production of products we buy in America. Do we not have the same? Not in addition to a military threat we have to watch out for. An economic threat.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. And what we call the control of the supply chains.
Yeah.
Where the minerals are located that make the products, the chips in the computers and so on, which is very vital to all transportation, aircraft and so on. And when the Chinese can gain more and more control over these supply chains that feed into the industries in America, that they can turn it off or turn it on, that is a major threat, absolutely.
Wow. Well, General, every time we talk to you, we gain some more information about how much we need to pay attention And I think that's the thing, that's one of the reasons why we have this program in the first place, is we want folks to, to get informed and to find out more about what's going on. Years ago, a couple of years ago, I was very concerned when we had incidents of a couple of military ships, our own military ships, running into, cargo vessels and things over in the region we're talking about.
Right.
And it scared the heck out of me because, from what I know about the military, I graduated from high school on Guam, which is a giant military base. And, that was so far out of my reality that a naval ship would run into another ship. Have we got control of that sort of stuff in the military these days?
Well, you can remember those things happened because of the degradation of our readiness under Obama. It's all there. That's why Trump put so much emphasis on our military to bring our readiness back up. Now, as we rose to a very high peak of readiness, now you're going to see it go down.
Wow.
But up to
now,
the point.
General,
let me follow up here, Nan, for just a second. General, you're saying that right now, as the Biden administration takes over, the military has gotten back up to snuff?
Yes, under Trump, it got back up. Our readiness in our armed forces, we had a lot of supply parts, repair, things that had to be done that became that were deteriorated under Obama. All you have to do is go back in history, and you'll see how bad it got. Readiness, morale, it was terrible.
Well, yeah, ships were running into other ships. Yeah,
you didn't hear any of that happening during Trump presidency. We could well.
Now, General, let me ask you this question. You talk about the influence of Chinese Communist regime to cartels. How did that happen? Can you substantiate a little more about that?
Well, I would say you get Laura Logan from Fox Nation on, and she'll tell you all about it. She knows more about what the cartels are doing than anybody. Laura Logan. She used to be with 60 Minutes, and now is with Fox Nation. She really understands what's going on down there. But it all generated because of the massive drug trade, where fentanyl was massively being produced out of China and flowed through Mexico up into the United States. Now the cartels have taken over that fentanyl and other drugs and opium, sex trafficking. The support now, we understand, the money going in associated with banking between China and the cartels. So the cartels now have some better arms than many countries do. Firearms, guns, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They're very well organized, very well funded. And, of course, the Mexican government people are afraid of the cartels. They've been compromised. That's why I wrote a plan I'll be happy to share to you that I gave President Trump, that we have to go on the offensive against the cartels. We've gone on the offensive and done cross-border operations in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and here now we have the biggest threat outside the Chinese Communist Party residing just south of our border.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow, I hate to break in here.
In Mexico.
General, you mentioned that one thing in the northern border. So the Canadians, they they training the Chinese military.
Well, they're not training them. They've worked together on some joint operations. We have proof of that. We know that the Chinese, through Vancouver, British Columbia, and the influence from Shanghai and from Beijing through Vancouver with money. I don't know how many billions of dollars have gone in to buy up bankrupt Canadian companies that control these natural resources, some of these precious metals that are used to make chips. They've infiltrated into the universities in Canada. And so the influence up there is just tremendous. And again, everybody's looking to China over in the mainland, but look at China in Central and South America and China in Canada.
Yeah, well, they have tremendous influence around the world. General, we're out of time. Every time we have you on, we run into this problem. We'll have to have you on again real soon. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Great. You have a great show. Thank you.
Take care, sir.
Thank you. Welcome back again.
All right, we're going to take a break and be back to wrap up the first hour of China Uber Alice for today.
If you're looking to increase the output of your garden, then you should try using Bloomin' Minerals Soil Revitalizer. How does it work? Simply by replacing the trace elements that have been depleted by time and over gardening. Whether you're growing tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, or even cannabis, you can enjoy bigger, healthier crops. Apply 12 pounds per 1,000 square feet of gardening area, or 2 teaspoons to each 6-inch pot. It's available in 2.5-pound canisters, 4.5-pound canisters, and 40-pound bags. Bloomin' Minerals is approved by the California Department of Food and Agriculture and has been certified as safe for organic use by the Organic Materials Review Institute. Bloomin' Minerals is 100% humic shale with no added binders or fillers and conditions the soil by promoting microbial activity. Make your garden happy with Bloomin' Minerals Soil Revitalizer from Longevity. To place an order, call 831-218-KSCO. That's 831-218-KSCO, or log on to kscohealth.com.
Hi, this is Hema with the Holistic Mystic. I'm so excited to tell you about a show that I have on Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. here on KSCO. Are you feeling stuck and don't know what to do? You need some help to get unstuck so that you can feel free and happy? Let's talk about it all, from spirituality to wellness to intimacy. You know, it's all connected. Keep listening for uplifting mystical readings that will give you some insights into how you can live your best life. Join me, Hema, Holistic Mystic, Fridays at 7 p.m.
Satisfy your hunger with a fresh, prepared twice daily grab-and-go sushi you'll find waiting for you at Sushi Market Sprouts, 2 blocks from the beach at 300 7th Avenue in Santa Cruz. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
Hello, I'm Junko, and I look forward to serving you at the Sushi Market Sprouts.
Well, that's our first hour. Wow, unbelievable how fast that went, folks. We have a whole nother hour, a lot of stuff to talk about. Mm-hmm. So hang in there. China Uber Alice will continue in just a minute with Nan Su and Amy Howe and myself, Bill Graff. If you'll hang in there, we'll bring you up to date with the latest news and information from Town Hall News. A reminder, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour today, we'll have the President will be talking about the COVID-19 crisis and some other things he's scheduled to talk on the air. So we'll check in with him as Fox News and various other organizations around the country will be following the same stories. So we'll check in with Town Hall News in just a moment. This is KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, and Monterey. It is coming up on 3 o'clock. KSCO Santa Cruz.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. President Biden signed the $1.9 trillion spending bill this afternoon, saying this is historic legislation.
It's about rebuilding the backbone of this country and giving people in this nation, working people, middle-class folks, people who built the country, a fighting chance. That's what the essence of it is.
Republicans don't see it that way, however.
Senator Mitch McConnell says the bill provides a handout to the powerful teachers' unions.
Massive federal school funding spread over several years without requiring quick reopening.
And he says it includes sweeping new government benefits with no work requirement whatsoever.
A time warp to the bad times before bipartisan welfare reform.
McConnell also taking aim at the bill's farm loan bailouts based, he says, not on need but on the race of the farmers. A provision critics say amounts to reparations and has no place in a COVID-19 relief bill. Bob Agnew reporting.
Noted evangelist Luis Palau has died today at his home in Portland, Oregon of lung cancer. Palau was 86 years of age. Luis Palau was widely known to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to thousands of people in Spanish-speaking countries around the world. Palau patterned much of his successful ministry after the Crusades of Billy Graham and remained close to the North Carolina evangelist. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is calling on Speaker Nancy Pelosi to return the People's Chamber to pre-pandemic operations.
In a letter to the Speaker, Leader McCarthy asked Pelosi when she would put an end to proxy voting, allow in-person work and meetings to return full-time, and let tours resume at the Capitol. He also asked whether masking requirements will be eased following the release of new guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and considering the Senate's practices. McCarthy also questioned when the fencing that was put in place following the deadly riot at the Capitol on January 6th would be taken down and heightened security eased. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 188 points. More at townhall.com.
KSCO has some of the most intelligent listeners on the planet, and most intelligent minds want to know, what are my options for taking Social Security benefits? Do I need an estate plan? When, where, and how do I enroll in Medicare? If you want answers to these and other hot financial topics, listen to Money Moves. Host Pamela Fugit-Hedrick and her guests have tips and tools you'll need so you can manage your money effectively. That's Money Moves, 7 p.m. Thursdays here on KSCO.
This is Dean Sutton, Law of the Land. Give me a call. I'm a lawyer, but you can like me anyway. We have a call-in talk show Thursdays from 8 to 9 on KSCO. You get a chance to talk to a lawyer. No fancy lawyer office, no coffee, no bill. Give me a call, and we'll try to answer your questions. You can call in with comments. You can call in with questions. We have talk about events of the day. Law of the Land, Thursdays from 8 to 9 on KSCO. You get a chance to talk to a lawyer on the air.
Here's the townhall.com business brief.
Broad gains in stocks push several major indexes to all-time highs on Wall Street. And the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and a measure of small company stocks all closing at record levels today. The S&P 500 added 1%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ rose 2.5%, but remains below the record high it set last month. The gains came as President Biden signed a huge economic relief bill into law. Crude oil prices rose more than 2%. Bond yields fell. The Dow gained 188 points today to close at 32,485. The NASDAQ was up 329 points to 13,398. The S&P 500 ahead 40 to 3,939. New York oil rose $1.58, closing at $66.02 a barrel. With business, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Experts have warned of the toll that the coronavirus has taken on nature conservation.
Losses of revenue, the IUCN says, has meant patrols and anti-poaching operations have been halted or reduced in more than half of Africa's protected areas and a quarter of those in Asia. 1 in 5 rangers have lost their jobs, while more than a quarter have had their salaries reduced or delayed. Growing poverty in communities near parks has seen a rise in poaching for bushmeat. The IUCN stresses the importance of using coronavirus recovery plans to enhance nature protection, in part to lower the risk of viruses spreading from animals to humans.
The BBC's Danny Eberhardt. A court in Mexico blocked the implementation of a law favoring government-owned power generation over cleaner private electrical plants. The law went into effect Tuesday, but a court injunction today brought by a Mexican wind farm company blocked it from going into effect. More on these stories at townhall.com.
KSCO News Talk time is 3:05. I'm Sam Quinton with your King of the Hill traffic and weather. Starting off on Highway 17 up and over the summit right now. That is accident-free and moving at the limit. Highway 9 is clear. Highway 1 coming off the Fish Hook southbound. Wow. Okay, we got a big slow and go coming off the Fish Hook here, southbound Highway 1. About 11 to 12 minute delay just to get through the area into Aptos. Let's see, the rest of the way, however, north and southbound directions are clear. Highway 129, 152, they are clear. Highway 101 southbound between Coyote and Madrone, patches of slow and go conditions there as well. About a 6-minute delay on southbound 101 between Coyote and Madrone. Highway 156 eastbound at Castroville Boulevard. There's a traffic collision there. That involves 2 vehicles. No injuries reported, and units are en route to the scene. Your Central Coast forecast for tonight, mostly clear, then some patchy fog. Overnight lows of 37 degrees. Tomorrow, we're going to open up with a little patchy fog, and then we're going to have some sunny skies later in the day, looking for a high of 62 degrees. Right now, outside the KSCO studios, it is 54 degrees. Now, stay tuned. We have the second hour of China Über Alice on KSCO.
China Über Alice is brought to you in part by Sushi Market Sprouts on 7th in Santa Cruz and Kaito, coming soon to the Capitola Mall food court. Treat yourself to the finest Japanese cuisine you'll find anywhere with fresh sushi to go and delicious ramen dinners. Sushi Market Sprouts and Kaito. Yum! Welcome to hour number 2 of China Über Alice for this Thursday. I'm Bill Graff. I'm here, of course, with my co-host Nan Su, a senior reporter from the Epoch Times, and Amy Howe, a survivor of the re-education camps of the Chinese Cultural Revolution under Chairman Mao. We have already had a fascinating first hour, and Nan, we've got a lot to talk about in our second hour today, don't we?
Yes, it's something. A lot of people at least never thought about in the past couple of decades. Now we are coming to just within a few years before a possible attack from Chinese Communist regime to Taiwan. Who would have thought about that just a few years ago?
Yeah, and no. When Amy started her story today, I was wondering how this was going to tie in, and now after hearing Paul Vallely talk about the situation we're in right now, I fully understand what the second part of Amy's story is going to look like next week.
Yeah, and Billy, talking about, we really need to think about, because on the CCP, they're talking about and to get Taiwan back, and for years, so just like a general say, but never that close become a reality, because right now, the China is much richer than we think, and the military power, those things before they just talking, but this last 20 years, they really spend a lot of money on the military. So I have a question for you. You think Taiwan, they really ready for it?
Well, I don't think Taiwan is ready. You think about Taiwan, it's not much different in its situation than South Korea if it's under attack by North Korea. There is a Taiwan Strait, yes, to separate the mainland from China, but however, the entire island, I'm literally talking about the entire island of Taiwan. Mm-hmm. It's in the Rocky Missile Range, just not even missile, just rocket, range. So all Chinese military need to do is just put a bunch of missile rockets, rocky long equipment over there on the shoreline. It will cover the entire island. So it's if they decide to attack the Taiwan, it's very dangerous for the 23 million people living in the island.
Can I ask a question about Taiwan, though? I don't want to. Allow me to be blunt for just a moment. If China really wanted to, whatever's in Taiwan that China wants, if they start bombing it with missiles, with missile batteries from the mainland, will it not negate what they want? They don't want to destroy it, do they? I mean, what is so valuable in Taiwan that it's worth destroying it to get it back?
Well, they want that because it's kind of like the CCP used that to take over Taiwan and to unify Taiwan as kind of like a brainwash tool to brainwash generations and generations of people that grew up in China. So it's always one of their goals. Now, China's economy is going down right now. It's a natural cycle. I mean, all the economy, when you grew up to a certain level, it will slow down because your overproduction of your cement, steel, or maybe technology. That's why they start this Belt and Roads project, right? So now, if they're not really succeed on their Belt and Road project, then China's economy will continue going down. Now, when the economy going down, then basically the tactic used by the Chinese government to control the society will run out of money. So, in order to really prove the legitimacy of Communist Party's ruling status, they're going to do something. Now, Taiwan is really a target. It's nearby, and the generations of Chinese people living in China, they're all brainwashed. They're all waiting for that day to come. Now, if they do it, so it's a big accomplishment. It's a big it's to show their own people that they should, they deserve to be the ruling party. So that's how it's going to go, in the next few years.
You're talking about South Korea, North Korea, and China and Taiwan. I think a little bit different because 2016 December, that's the last time I'm visiting Taiwan. But you don't see anything. It's like they're going to have a war or whatever. It's nothing prepared. Maybe military after the last 4 years. I'm talking about probably. But 2016, everybody just the business. They have so much investment. Talking about Taiwan money in China, mainland China. And almost all kind of Taiwan. That time I go to Taiwan, there's no job. All the young people in Taiwan, they work in China, mainland China, because another thing is in I think it's also 16 March, I visited South Korea, and they really prepare for the war because one of this lady showed it to me. They all have a bungle. You say if North Korea attacking them and even use a nuclear weapon or something, they just go down there. Like every house have that or prepare, but not Taiwan. So I don't know. It's like impossible for me to think how the China CCP were taking over Taiwan.
Well, that's kind of
also their own people. Chinese.
Well, that's kind of what I was asking. I didn't ask the question right, but it's obvious that mainland China, the Communist Party, wants Taiwan back in the fold. But from listening to General Vallely and other military experts we've had on this program in the past, it also sounds like mainland China is willing to get Taiwan back by whatever means necessary.
By force?
By force. And if it's worth taking back by force, is it not at the same time worth not destroying what they you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, parts of Iraq are uninhabitable anymore because we have bombed this living snot out of it, everything left. There's nothing left to go back to.
Well, first of all, you have to really think about things in a very different angle. To take back China, the main purpose, it's not to get the money or the equipment that's in Taiwan. It's always to prove the Chinese Communist Party's legitimacy as a ruling party in China, because China's economy is going downhill. So they have a lot of social conflicts, social unrest that's in China that the Chinese government need to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
So when the internal tension go tremendous to the very high level, that's how they're going to need to use Taiwan to switch the internal tensions and to prove to its own people that they deserve as a ruling party of China. So they don't really care how much they're going to take back, how much money or how much technology they're going to get in Taiwan. Now, in the past, when we talk about the difference between North Korea and South Korea, between China and Taiwan, that is, see, the South Korea has been, technically they're still in war with North Korea because they have never signed a peace treaty, right? So now they always prepare for war. Now, Taiwan is different. Taiwan, they are really very much under the influence of the United States and the Western world. Now, unfortunately, it was the decision of United States and the Western world in the last half a century. They tried to change China in the way of doing business with China. So Taiwan went along. So Taiwan has really close business relationship with China ever since early 90s. Now, so Taiwan society, especially a lot of political establishment, they have a deep business relationship with China.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Now, but things changed. Things changed in the last 10 years, especially in the year of 2019 because of Hong Kong. Now, when Hong Kong, when the Taiwanese society see how Hong Kong has become just in 2 decades of time after he went back to China, they really see the future of themselves if they go back to China. So 2019, we see a lot of protests in Taiwan on the street to support the protests in Hong Kong. And those protests are really done by the young people, so like high school and college students. They went out to the street in Taiwan to support the protests in Hong Kong because they really concerned about their own.
Well, they can see the future.
Yeah. So 2019.
Yeah, it's a bigger. 19 different. Yeah. Yeah. Also, they saw, when Trump administration, they think they will be protected by U.S. They feel much secure than now. But in 2016, I was there. Taiwan is a real free society. So in their landmark in Taipei 101, that building, you can see all kind of group protesting everywhere. Like Falun Gong was there, and some mainland China, those tourists, they try to be the people, Falun Gong people. And then they have the people protest for Taiwan independent movement. They also beat by a Chinese tourist. So to me, they everywhere have a Chinese flag. I mean, CCP's flag. I mean, in Taiwan, all over the place. I was shocked because I think, wow, Taiwan already China, but that means the infiltration to the entire societies. the communist power. And some people, they talk to me, and it seems like they are not like American that much. You say that it's not American business in between Taiwan and China. We all one country, we are Chinese. That kind of attitude. So, but 2019, just like Nan said, exactly changed because of Hong Kong.
Yeah. Amy and Nan, we have a guest. We have a caller who wants to join our discussion. Dick is calling from Santa Cruz, and if I push the right button, I can get Dick on the phone. There we go. Dick, you're on KSCO.
Yeah, thanks. That's really interesting talk about the relationship with China and Taiwan and Hong Kong. I can see that, and I can see how they might be like flying the CCP flags a little more now. But I'm calling basically to agree with the general on stuff, and he agrees with me. He mentioned a couple things I have in the past with you guys. I said that like last week, and the general was talking about basically the military black projects or the R&D is being stolen by China. And I don't know. I wanted to ask him how deep down he thought they might be getting into our military complex as far as stealing stuff. The one thing he also mentioned that I agree with wholeheartedly was he was talking about the Socialist Democrat Party. I think he didn't want to say they were a domestic terrorist group, but he he was relating to the cartel as the second biggest problem that we face, and I think I mentioned that before about the open borders. The one thing I did want to ask him was about our direct weak spots in the military with China right now. And I have heard for years now that our grid is not protected from any EMP drop attack. And
well, actually, no electrical grid in the world is. It's the one major flaw in how electricity is sent from one place to another. It's all electrical grids around the world are very susceptible to the same problem.
No, they're hardened. The Russians have hardened theirs. Chinese have hardened theirs.
The Chinese have not hardened theirs to that extent. China is a huge country, and they haven't hardened their electric. That's a misnomer. I've studied this. Bill, believe me.
Okay, fine. I've read books on it too, Bill. I read the report in 2001 when they first came out with the MPA study saying that we have such a weak grid, and it's so vulnerable, including all the transformers that we would have to get from China to replace on a slow boat that would take about 1 year to order, and they have polar satellites going right over the Midwest. And I wanted to ask the general what he thought about that, because are we prepared for a little drop of a medium-sized nuclear weapon about 100 miles over Wichita, Kansas, out of a satellite? They have satellites going around right now. So it's a real danger. It would have been interesting to ask him that. I would venture
to say the general probably would have stifled himself from answering that question.
Whatever. He seems pretty open.
No, but I mean some of those, some of them. Were you ever in the military?
No.
Okay, well, the thing about it is when you're in the military and you get to his level of command, he knows things that he's been sworn to secrecy never to divulge. He would probably never tell us about, the capability
of... this is knowledge. No, I already know that the satellites are going right over Wichita, Kansas, and Nebraska. And they're Chinese. They're also, I think, Korean. So anyway, he also agreed with me, Billy, about the COVID being released on purpose to get rid of Trump, to inflame, to open the borders, get Biden in, get the Socialist Democrats to take a lot of power so that we get more centralized government that's working closer with China. I mean, it's just 1, 2, 3, dominoes. That's what I'm saying. He sees all that coming. I mean, all they have to do is make it a one-party system here like we have in California. They're working with HR1 right now. I'm sure the communist CCP guys are just jumping up and down, hoping they get that through. And then they're just going to come for the guns. We're in the middle of race wars. This big trial with George Floyd's coming up. I mean, it's like a perfect storm of destroying America. And if you look at the steps backwards, or their dominoes backwards, if they release COVID on purpose and they have 10-year plan outs, China thinks really long term. And this just everything is clicking along here. They want to destroy this country one way or another and influence it totally, just like they do with Taiwan. And I realize there's more Chinese people in Taiwan, but I mean the Confucius centers are working so closely to destroy any semblance of our history of our great country. And it's happening today at a rapid pace now that China Joe is in the office. So I just wanted to get that out. There are real dangers with China, and this is a really important program.
Well, we really appreciate your calling and contributing to it. I hope it is my hope that you're more alarmist than I am, but I understand your points.
Yeah, and any comments from Nan and Amy, I'd appreciate.
Anytime.
I think it's absolutely right.
Amy, say that again.
Now, I say Dick was absolutely right. Every point I would agree with him. Now,
there you go ahead, Billy.
What's that?
I say, Bill, you have to be realistic, too. You can't just be an optimist. You have to look at the whole picture.
Oh, I'm not. Look, you noticed I haven't disagreed with you, Dick. I'm just hoping that optimism, I'm hoping my more optimistic point of view is the one that in the end will hang in there. But I fully understand how folks feel about the world situation. It's quite scary that China has. And
I agree.
Has gotten to where it is.
With Nan, when he talks about how if their economy clicks down to 4 or 5% instead of 8, 9, 10% per GDP, and everybody they have so many people wanting to move to the cities, getting a job. Their social consciousness and being correct and selling communism, really, their regime. And, they're after the currency, too. I mean, that's another big ploy if they take down America in all these scenarios one way or another. But I really agree with Nan that they are really egomaniacs, narcissists, just can't even put up with the Buddhism, They can't even deal with a small religion.
Dick, the part that scares me about China and what I've read about China that really frightens me is this. They don't take care of the people who feed them, the farmers. The farmers are really looked down upon in China, from what I can gather anyway. And it would seem to me that a country like China that has that many mouths to feed would figure out a way to make their farmers as happy as possible.
Yeah. Well,
Dick, you truly understand the situation. The social tension over there in the society is tremendous. One thing, I'll give you a number. Just the other day, a couple of days ago, I read one article about China's medical system, the kind of insurance they provide to their farmers. Now, they have China still have about 800 million people as farmers, right? So now the kind of a medical insurance the government provided to the farmers, it's literally about 243 yen a year.
Right.
Now, 243 yen, that's $40. So $40,
Yeah. There's no social security
a year.
either.
It's like it's barely enough to take care of you if you had a common cold.
Sure.
So that boils down to if China's economy slows down, there's a lot of social unrest. It's going to take place in China. And now,
go ahead, Amy.
So they always wanted to bring somebody else. So they had, wage a war with somebody, whatever.
Right, they'll do something.
Americans,
yeah, right.
hate America. Yeah.
They gotta get an enemy.
Uh-huh.
They gotta just like in this country, right now, all this stuff about Como or there's tearing down the statues or renaming schools, or it's all a diversionary from what the heck Biden's really doing to this country right now. I mean, we literally, if you asked anybody about any Democrat and said, "Hey, are you for open borders?" And they'd go, "No." I mean, I have Democrat friends. They'd go, "No, we don't want open borders." Well, we got it. There's nothing stopping anybody. And I also heard last night, like she mentioned Laura on Fox that knows all about the cartels.
Laura
Ingraham.
Logan, Laura Logan, no agenda. No agenda.
Yeah.
She was reporting on it.
It's excellent. And the thing is that she was talking to a Border Patrol guy about the movement of international guys, Chinese, Iranians, Afghanis, I mean, everywhere. Ethiopia, they're coming across the southern border from everywhere. So, anyway, I can go on all day about how we're going down the tubes here, and that's why I'm waving my hands and talking to you guys, because you're the only guys on the radio anywhere other than Tucker Carlson that even touch some of these subjects, because they're so, there's you'll be canceled, basically. You can't even say China virus.
Well, Dick, I think part of why we ended up doing this program was I had a conversation one time with MZ about when I built my house. I built a house up in Clear Lake, and my wife and I were looking to stock the house with stuff, And one of the things my wife wanted was a clothes iron. And, we looked for months for an American-made clothes iron, and we couldn't find one. We could not. Go ahead, look yourself. Look it up. Try to find one. I don't believe they exist. I don't believe anybody makes a clothes iron in America anymore.
Yeah. Well, just like I said last time, they want all the markets. They want all the rare materials. They want all the the mining rights everywhere in Africa. They're taking over Africa. They're really influencing Mexico and Canada, like the general said. It's nuts what's going on. Yeah. And Biden goes to bed at 7:00, and they laugh when somebody might say, "Hey, is the border a crisis right now?" And they kind of giggle about it. I mean, we're so screwed. I think internationally, and I mean internationally, it's the vice president, right? She's the one talking to all the nations. I bet the Chinese are just rolling in laughter and figuring out what they're going to do next. Okay, I'll get off the air.
Okay, thanks for calling, Dick.
Thank you, Dick.
Dick makes great points when he calls. Sometimes I don't agree with everything he says, but he does make some great points. And just to clarify about our borders, the border I worry about is the northern border, because for lots of it there's not much of a border guarding situation going on.
Yeah.
We're counting on the snow to keep them from coming across the border.
Well, one thing Dick raised a good point. Part of it it's the supply chain. Our electrical grid. It's really we have a lot of transformers imported from China, and they were embedded with a lot of computer chips. So you never know what those chips are going to do. Now, thinking about if we're going to potentially have a war coming now. Once China invaded Taiwan, we possibly in a very, very intensive situation with China. Now, just if it's winter, just think about during the storm, what will happen to our society if those transformers go wrong?
Well, wait, we can answer that question, Nan. It happened not too long ago in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, it got so cold in most houses when the electricity went off and nobody could heat their house that the pipes burst, and then now you have no electricity and your house is full of frozen water.
No water. Yeah.
I mean, it's very simple to understand what will happen. It's we have the example already.
Yeah, it's dangerous. All we need to think is we may not be in a peaceful relation with China in a few years if they invade China, and it's real because the top U.S. Admiral who just make that statement in the Congress. So in talk to the U.S. Senate Armed Force Committee. So China will invade Taiwan very likely in 6 years. So if any time in the next 6 years, if China invade Taiwan, we wouldn't have the peaceful relation with China anymore. So, if China want to, attack us, the society here in the United States want to make a chaos here in the United States. They can do it because, think about it, just in the electrical grid, we have so many transformers that's imported from China. Who knows what they can do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's just another good idea to look at how we operate American business and American commerce. Maybe it's a good idea to start thinking about building some of the things we really need.
Bunkers.
Yeah. We need to build them here.
Korea.
Yeah. Build them here.
And it's not that hard to do. It's like we pay a little more money to buy America. That's it. We go to local stores to buy things made in local, to buy things, to purchase things that's made in America. We just need to pay a little more money. Everybody is bear the hardship a little more. And we can make this country, a lot more prepared when you actually have a war or some sort of not a peaceful relation with China.
Yeah, or a peaceful relation with many other countries that we have problems with. I mean, we of course always talk about China because that's the focus of our program, but we have quite a few relationships around the world that are a little tense.
Yeah. And also now just think about this, Secretary of State Blinken just last week when he talked about a relation with China, he says, China is the biggest threat, actually.
Yeah.
Now, that was the last week. Now, this week, we have top U.S. Admiral and talk to the Congress to say, hey, China may invade Taiwan in 6 years. So you bring all these big pictures all piece by piece together. You see, we actually, if we so much rely on the supply chain from China, now in the few years, we're going to really see, a lot of things screw up in our society.
Yes, that's true. That is very true.
So why 6 years? Why not 4 years, 3 years?
Well, he said, that's the U.S. Top Admiral Davidson. He talked to the Senate Armed Committee Tuesday. Yeah, there's Philip Davidson, commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. He talked to the U.S. Senate Armed Service Committee this Tuesday, and he said China may invade Taiwan within 6 years. Now, it's in these 6 years. We don't know, maybe 4 years, maybe 2 years, maybe 2 months from now. So we don't know when it's going to happen, but it's coming.
It's just an estimate of when he thinks it might happen.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a caller from Santa Cruz. Joe is on. Let me push the right button here. Joe, you're on China Uber Alice.
Hello, I'm calling from Santa Cruz. This is Homeless Joe.
And you wanted to talk about Taiwan?
Yes, I just wanted to make an assumption. What if China and Taiwan were in cahoots just for the military technology? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling. Oh, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Maybe they're playing with us to try to get our technology.
I don't think so. Well, first of all, I'm not sure if you know Taiwan has the most, really the most advanced semiconductor industry in the world. Taiwan's semiconductor industry is a lot advanced than Intel. So that's why.
About the military technology.
Well,
because we're going to give them lots of weapons. We're not going to sell to mainland China, but we're going to sell to Taiwan. So that's what I mean, I guess.
Yeah, and we heard.
Well, I think. Yeah. Well, Billy, can you just explain the question a little bit? I kind of like it because my signal off a little bit. I didn't get a full question.
I think Homeless Joe was asking what he gave us a hypothetical. What if Taiwan and mainland China were actually in cahoots, to get some of our advanced military technology. In other words, Amy sort of laid it out pretty well there. She said, if mainland China were to make a small attack on Taiwan, and then the United States started sending weapons and military advisors and stuff like that to Taiwan, Taiwan would then have access to military hardware from the United States.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. Well, it's true. Some of the people in Taiwan, they try to do China a favor, but overall, Taiwan is our ally. It's been our ally for the last more than 70 years, ever since Chinese Communist Party took over control of China, and Taiwan, it's have a geographical importance because all the oil supply to Japan, to South Korea, it's all going to go through Taiwan Strait, and it's our frontline defense to try to prevent China from expanding its power to overseas.
Well, it's a little like is it not like the Panama Canal? If you want to move oil through that region, you got to go between Taiwan and mainland China. It's a little like, if you want to get on either side of Panama, you got to go through the canal. So it's strategic more than anything else.
Yes, it's very important, for us to keep Taiwan safe, and also Taiwan has a democracy, so people elect their own government, and one of the reasons, and back to the beginning of last year, when the society overwhelmingly elect the current president Tsai Ing-wen, it's because she is anti-Chinese Communist Party. She really upheld the democracy, the value of democracy, trying to protect Taiwan, its independence. So I think that assumption that Joe laid out, it's just really beyond the reality.
No, I think you have a reason, because we're talking about business interests or people interests, but what about the company's interests? Because Taiwan, lots of money go to China, for sure. Not now.
No, in the Yeah, Taiwan is actually leading the entire war, withdrawing their business from China. So in last 5 to 8 years of time, a lot of Taiwanese business already left China. So all you need to do, Taiwan actually had a website. They
cannot leave the building there, you know. There's been lots of real estate they own, or Taiwan money, you know. You cannot leave that. So China will say, okay.
Oh, a lot of them actually just abandoned their factory, their property. They just withdraw their business and relocated to Vietnam and relocated to some of them to India. You know, that's what those business did. Those industry maybe they leaving and to other countries, but I'm talking about real estate business. They have so much Taiwan money owned in China. You know, how can they cut it out? That they can't. That will be the same situation. See, we created the situation. Okay, now first of all, we need to realize it was the United States that leading the China policy in this direction. So then that was the result. It's not their own fault. So it was because our China policy, because Henry Kissinger went to China 50 years ago. All these years, we have this rosy picture about making China a communist nation to become richer and richer, and we think after the middle class grow in China, that's going to make change from within to make China become a member of a democratic society of the Western world. It never happened. But however, there's a lot of business and a lot of people go to China, made an investment. That's true. So Taiwan's situation is really no different than the situation here in the United States. You look at the Silicon Valley. How many people own properties in China? How many people own properties in China? How many businesses have operations in China? It's the same situation. So you don't have to really worry about these people's they are, yes, there are conflict interests out there, but overall they want their freedom. The society in Taiwan as a whole, they know what's coming and they see the threat. They want the freedom. They want the democracy. They don't want to live under the control of communism.
I think what Amy was trying to say, though, is that some of the people who invested from Taiwan into mainland China, spent a lot of money, and they don't want to lose that investment.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So they want to freedom, fine, but it's too late. You wanted to decouple, just like here. You really think that we are decoupled successfully? I don't think so. We just started doing, but, then Biden coming, right? So we set it back.
Well, that's why we have this program, right? It's the people, they have their own choice, right, to make. So you have to
that easy.
Yeah, well,
you have to continuously raise the awareness of the situation.
I know. Just like a couple, you marry for a long time, for years. So, you can come out of the divorce settlement, not that simple. Lots of fight, lots of decisions, lots of angry, lots of sadness. It's just not that simple. For 30 years, think about that. That's what I'm talking about. Reality is not the idealist thing,
Reality is not always real.
No. We see it. Look already. Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I think it's for everyone to think about that.
Absolutely. That's why we have this program. We put the ideas out there and we let people, think about it and come up with their own conclusions. We're not here to brainwash anybody, but just like you, Nan, and Amy come from similar backgrounds, both from mainland China, but slightly different views on how this one issue we're talking about even today. So.
I have a friend from Taiwan, so they live in the United States, but they invest in China, lots of things, the people from Taiwan. They have some privilege. They give them something, you don't have to pay tax because you're from Taiwan. So she has like an American citizenship, but also Taiwan resident. So she got all the tax, privileges in China investments. So, recently I think we talked about that. She always bashing America, when we started trade war, because they wanted to protect their interests, their investment, of course.
Sure.
Very clearly.
It's funny, when people get some resources, a little bit of money, and they, they decide to make investments in different places, I often wonder what motivates people to invest in certain things, I mean, if I had a pile of money, which I don't, but if I did, I don't know that I would invest in mainland China. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you're living in Taiwan and you can get some tax advantages from China to invest there, and because it's close, I suppose maybe my opinion would be different, but I don't know that I would want to spend a lot of money in China right now.
They already make a lot of fortune, those Taiwanese investors. Unbelievable, because they get in first. And also they are, the Chinese want their money, just say, we are all Chinese, so come and give them the money, so they did. So now, when you, for years, it had to pour out, really deep now.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get it. But I do also understand that there are, I guess, it's what they say, the big investment firms, when they say, when you're investing in the stock market, remember, don't invest anything you can't afford to lose, I guess, is probably good advice.
Well, but in fact...
What's that?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, in fact, Taiwan, it's leading the way to withdraw from China. So they had a very, very high percentage of business already withdrawn from China. And it was very hard, it's very hard to actually withdraw from China, because the Chinese regime has been doing every way they are able to prevent Taiwan to withdraw all these investments in China. But they have done a tremendous job, I would say, in the last few years to withdraw a huge amount of money and investment from China.
Indeed. Hey, I wanted to bring your attention to something that was given to me right before the show today. Charles Friedman, one of our other talk show hosts, showed me an opinion page from the Wall Street Journal, today's Wall Street Journal. There are two letters to the editor, one from a person who thinks that Hong Kong deserves to be in the Freedom Index, and then a whole nother editorial about Hong Kong itself and what's happening in Hong Kong. And it's both these letters to the editor are too long to read. But if you look at today's edition of the Wall Street Journal, if you're interested in Hong Kong and how China is dealing with Hong Kong, there are two very interesting letters to the editor in today's edition of the Wall Street Journal. So you might want to check that out, about one fellow who's sort of in charge of media relations for Hong Kong, maybe somewhat delusional. Well, anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But you might want to read today's edition of the Wall Street Journal. The editorial page is particularly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, all these big newspapers around the world and big media outlets like the BBC and NBC News are all carrying articles now about China and about what's going on with China around the world. And I'm sort of proud of the fact that our little program here is sort of leading the way on some of this discussion.
Yeah, we're ahead of them.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because nowadays, the discussion about China, it's really not about the human rights or the economic situations in China anymore. It's really about the future security and safety of ourselves. It's about how in the future the United States and also the Americans, our society, it's going to deal with China, because the threat it's so real, and just like we talk about the invasion of China to Taiwan, it's like within the next 6 years. So it's just right there at the corner.
Yeah. That's true. Hey, listen, it's time to take our last break for today's program. We'll be back to wrap up China Uber Alice for this Thursday in just a moment. Satisfy your hunger with a fresh, prepared, twice daily grab-and-go sushi you'll find waiting for you at Sushi Market Sprouts, 2 blocks from the beach at 300 7th Avenue in Santa Cruz. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
Hello, I'm Junko, and I look forward to serving you at the Sushi Market Sprouts.
Hi, it's Charlie from the Garden Company Nursery, and I'm happy to report that we are open for business. Of course, for the safety of employees and customers, in compliance with county protocols, face coverings are required and social distance must be maintained. Also note that for now, we're not accepting cash for payment. But you can feel free to wander through our great selection of herbs, vegetables, bedding plants, flowering perennials, shrubs, vines, and fruit trees. Select a colorful ceramic pot for your patio, a whimsical sculpture for your garden, or choose a lush houseplant to add life to any room. Let us help you rediscover the healing satisfaction of enhancing the beauty of your home sanctuary. We have all the organic soils, fertilizers, and earth-friendly pest controls to help you succeed and maintain the health of your garden oasis. Get out of the house and visit us at The Garden Company, 2218 Mission Street, across from Safeway on the west side of Santa Cruz. We're now open every day from 9 to 4:30, including access to our surprising gift shop.
Hi, this is Chef Jamie Smith. At Foodsmith, we deliver the freshest, most affordable paleo, vegan, and ketogenic meals on the Central Coast directly to your door or office. And we deliver all over Santa Cruz, Monterey, and the South Bay. Choose your meal plan, meal type, and how many days you'd like it delivered. Place your order by Thursday at midnight for delivery the following week. It's that easy. Our meals average about $8 per meal, with no cleanup, no prep, and no shopping. Just go to myfoodsmith.com to place your order now. Foodsmith, the healthiest food on earth.
Some big news. Since Election Day, almost 5 million people have downloaded the free Newsmax TV app on their smartphone. You can trust Newsmax TV. Watch it for free anytime. And go to Newsmax.com for breaking news. Newsmax is on all major cable systems. Call your operator if they don't carry it. Plus, watch Newsmax on Roku, YouTube, Apple TV, Xumo, TiVo Plus, Pluto, and smart TVs like Samsung and LG. Newsmax is real news for real people. Start watching today.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to the second half of Amy's story next week as we hear what's gonna happen on that. Amy, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
And Nan, of course, your reporting at Epoch Times is always inspirational. So we want to make sure that folks check out that publication as well. I want to thank both of you for being with us again this week, and we want to thank our audience as well for taking time to check in with China Uber Alice.
That was a quite discussion today. Yeah, it sure was.
Yeah.
Boy, sometimes we have these military experts and they scare me.
That's right.
All right, take care of yourselves. We'll check in next week and have another edition of China Uber Alice here on AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz.